Thank you for checking us out. I'm Lou,
And I'm Kevin.
and together we're Bad Dinner Guests. My
Yeah.
bad, dude.
You're all right, man. Hope everyone's doing well this evening. Happy Independence Day. We are now into the 4th of July.
Yeah,
I didn't even
officially.
realize
Yeah,
it.
it was a little bit too much bro time mixed with preparation time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you only see each other once a week.
Right? Catch up from over the week and all that stuff. Speaking of catching up over the week, I heard you read the first Green Arrow of the Rebirth series, or this Rebirth.
Yes, I did. I did my homework for this episode. I was pretty into it. I gotta say, I like it. This was my first Green Arrow ever. First issue I've ever read.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Have you read other comic books, or
yeah. I've read plenty of other comic books. I was
just never
more
Green Arrow?
Yeah, I was just more of a Batman kid. I didn't have a ton of money to be spending on comic books, so I kind of just focused on the one guy. And
Right.
Batman was that one guy. I mean, I have a handful.
I get it. I mean, when you have heroes that similar, they kind of blot each other out, you know?
Yeah, and that was the other thing. It seemed kind of like Green Arrow was never going to be on my radar because he just kind of felt like a variation of Batman. You know, same both rich guys with a lot of different businesses that they run and self-made gadgets and all that good stuff. So
Well, you have that. And they were it's family money, really. It's not industries that they built upon a cornerstone or anything that crazy.
exactly. And well, I guess I have to stop here for a second and say spoiler alert because I want to kind of dive into this bad boy.
Okay.
Because while I thought it was pretty cool, it felt to me, and you'll be able to tell me, this felt kind of like a cliche story, if I'm being honest. And that's
Okay.
why I've got it pulled out here in front of me because I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things. And it just seemed like, really, it felt like what I would call like your boilerplate comic book. Like it just seemed like a pretty, all the same themes you see in comics. So
Okay. Deception,
yeah.
double crossing.
Well, I'll start right from the beginning. He's with some hero I'm not familiar with, Black Canary.
Okay.
Some girl that some lady that he hooks up with after it's all said and done, and I guess I didn't realize at any point in time that Oliver Queen had a sidekick that was his sister, a younger sister that he didn't know that he had or something like that. And in this point of the story, I guess they've been living together for a year. She's been his sidekick for a year or something like that. Anyway, so they stop this situation going down at a loading dock, and it's the three of them. Afterwards, Ollie hits it with the Black Canary in his bed, and then they wake up the next morning. They're talking. He goes around. He shows her all the nice places he's built for Queen with Queen Industries and all that good stuff. And then he in their conversation he starts talking about that they should have a relationship or something like that, and she's like, no,
Yeah, she shuts him down pretty harsh in that.
Yeah, and then she's like, why don't you look into why the underground men were trafficking things out of Queen shipping, Queen Industries shipping container. So she's, basically she doesn't trust him. So that's when he goes to talk to his CFO, his right hand man,
Okay.
Broderick.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. So he's class. Well, I know you're familiar with it. This is for them.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyway, so he finds out then that eventually that he's been sort of double crossed by his own guy.
Kind of the Tony Stark and the dude who betrayed him in the first film. I
Yeah,
can't think of his name.
You've seen it in Batman Begins, and just a ton of other times. And then uh, then he gets attacked by Shadow, and as he is fighting off the attack, that's Shadow gets called in by basically the people that run Queen Industries. There's a little conversation of basically, okay, now he knows what's going on because he confronts his buddy about it. And then he gets attacked by Shadow, who apparently is his sister's mother. Because, yeah.
That's kind of the big
reveal. The big reveal was that she shoots him, and then, again, big spoiler alert, the next episode is titled The Death of Oliver Queen. So I don't know what is going on with this series. But so those were the things that I just pointed out to you. I mean, that was the whole story.
A little bit.
Everything I told you was the whole story, but I brought that up because the whole story just felt like a big comic book cliche, honestly.
I understand.
You see what I'm saying? Like he got his chief financial executive, or officer, whatever, turns him over. He can't have a relationship with a girl, and his closest sidekick betrays him. It's like, like I said, it felt like your standard comic book 101. Like you just, it just felt like a boilerplate. Yeah. So that was it. I mean, I don't know if it's gotten me hooked enough to read even any more into the story. I'll probably follow up in the next issue or two and see where it goes. But
it intrigued me. I'm looking forward to see where they go with the human trafficking route. That being kind of topical this day and age, that's a huge problem everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just in this country. And we see the deception of essentially his right-hand man. The chief executive officer generally makes his plays based off what the chief financial officer says.
Right.
I think with comics, you gotta give them a little bit more time than one issue to really get the story where it needs to be. With the first issue of the Rebirth, I liked it. It had, I wouldn't say necessarily a twist, but I didn't see the woman running her being her mom.
Oh yeah,
that kind of threw me a little bit. It's why are there? What's the reason for the human trafficking? Are these people being experimented on? Are these people being sold? And what's the story there?
Yeah.
You only really scratch the surface on that. That's some heavy duty bad boy business that that's some real shit to be doing.
Yeah.
That's beyond dirt. That's blood money.
Well, again, it's also something you've seen in comic books 103 times.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying is that you got nothing new.
No.
Really, from this is what was my only thing. And I'm not saying the story will probably play out to be cool. It just as far as when you take just the one issue,
right?
I understand the setup can take some time sometimes, and that it tried to move along rather quickly to get you the origin going here. But
definitely, well, that's you got to remember, you gotta snap in and get the reader's attention early on to really keep a book surviving. And they had enough action that there was never really a dull moment in the issue. Stuff was always happening. Oliver was actually displaying some skills as a detective, which was nice to see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was okay. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I'll maybe read the next one.
That's I know you like to check into, the meanings behind symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything in the book that really struck you?
Well, there's definitely the one. Let me pull this cover back up here onto our screen so that way I can show you what I'm talking about. Right here on the cover, underneath his arm, you see she's got the there is an all-seeing eye there. That you see that recurring theme over and over again in album covers and movie titles or movie posters, just sort of everywhere. And you even can sort of see where it could be the top of a sort of a pyramid shape, sort of the way that it goes.
And the way your cheekbone's structured.
Yeah. But more importantly, when they show that one eye, it's usually it's a big symbol. It's a symbol that you see, the Eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye. It's one that you see all the time in film and music, all the major industries. It's pretty interesting. The other thing I saw, which unfortunately I won't really be able to pull up anything on the screen for this, but there was an interesting. You've seen Eyes Wide Shut, correct?
No.
Stanley Kubrick's last film. Well, it's essentially about secret societies amongst the rich and powerful.
Okay.
And Tom Cruise,
kind of like Illuminati's or Masonic
basically.
things.
Yeah, exactly. And Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman play a wealthy married couple. Tom Cruise is a doctor, Dr. Bill. So I can't remember what his last name is, but anyway, he goes to this private party. It's basically kind of like a sex party, and everybody's wearing masks. Did you ever see did you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I caught episodes here and there, but it was one of those things I didn't catch when it first rolled out, so I never hopped on the train.
They kind of tease on it in an orgy in an episode. But anyway, so everybody wears this cloak and masks and stuff at these parties.
I can't forgive you.
At these quote Illuminati
I just got
parties.
a picture in my head of naked Danny DeVito with nothing but a mask.
Yeah, he's wearing a bathrobe and a mask. He takes the mask off to eat. It's fantastic. It's definitely worth checking out.
Sorry. I had to interject there.
But yeah, you see those guys wearing their masks and their cloak, and that was seeing that just sort of it reminded me of Eyes Wide Shut, which was Stanley Kubrick's a very controversial filmmaker.
And Stanley Kubrick is huge on symbolism, and every shot means fucking something.
Usually means 2 or 3 things.
Exactly. And of those 2 or 3 things, it builds a bigger picture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intricacy. He was down to the placement of forks and everything.
Yep.
Pictures on the wall,
patterns,
the arrangement on that, how refrigerator magnets might be on a refrigerator,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
very attention to detail oriented.
And also, this guy here is definitely something worth at least mentioning. There's something interesting.
Well, I know that.
Yeah,
symbol of Saturn.
Exactly, and then there's
the ultimate evil.
Yep. So there was some interesting stuff on this. This is definitely just I love seeing that.
Well, and also when you think about the juxtaposition of the Eye of Horus and Saturn passing over it, over to the side of it.
Well, and that's what yeah. That could be an entire. We'd have to sit down and talk about that for a long time.
That's a series of 12 or 6. I don't know. I said 12 or 6. That was silly.
12 or 6.
Yeah, that's a series of a few
you want to
different
talk
conversations.
Too? You want to talk gematria someday too? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's all theories.
Well, yeah,
it's fun talking about that stuff.
That's the kind of stuff I spend at least usually an hour a day, several hours a week doing some kind of research towards that stuff. Just kind of blows my mind. I showed you my dictionary of symbols.
Well, that's I've listened to Coast to Coast AM for years. They talk about that kind of stuff. Ghosts. I mean, that's I think that's why we hit off so well, because we do have interest in that. It's fun to think about stuff like that. That's Coast to Coast AM with George Noory. They've talked about it all. Reptilians, reptilian leaders, numbers. Glynis, the numbers lady, awesome woman. She always does a great job as a guest. This is good stuff. And that's, speaking of symbolism, what bigger symbolism is there than Captain America? During this 4th of July weekend.
Yep, big American icon that we have. And so I did not read this one. You kind of have told me a couple of spoilers already, but I wanted to get your take on this new Captain America because we went in two different directions.
We did.
I read the first one and instantly thought, why would you ever make Captain America go Nazi? I don't really know what plot point could be worth putting through that. And you said
that hopped a lot of the fanboys on that their cotton camel ride. And I said that I literally said the same thing I just said, minutes ago about the Green Arrow, issue 1 of Green Arrow. Yeah, you gotta give it a chance to mature. It's the first issue. There's going to be a major plot twist somewhere, and if people come back from the dead, do you really think Steve Rogers is seriously Hail Hydra and go Team Red Skull?
Hey, maybe they're, I don't know, probably not. You're right.
It's especially that kind of ball punch in the first issue. That's pretty rough. That's a big ball to drop on the first issue. Very big ball.
Yeah, it is. And so what's up then, man? Tell me what happened. What went down?
Essentially, it recounts how Captain America obtained, for lack of a better word, the cosmic cube from the Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
And during the fight, Cap's shield breaks into pieces. And
breaks the cube into pieces?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Cap's shield throws the shield, hits the cube, shatters. So they collect the pieces, the scientists of S.H.I.E.L.D., and put them into containment fields that one day go a little bit volatile, causing an accident in the lab that kills everybody.
Also, brief pause. We were talking about the symbolism before. What, the cube symbolism.
Oh, the cube symbol of knowledge.
Yeah, having that be...
Thinking outside the cube.
Yep, having that be...
don't be such a square.
Yep. That is pretty cool. I like seeing
the cosmic cube of knowledge. And yeah, and it's crazy. I won't go into details, but there's this girl that comes into play from the results of what happens at the lab. And it shows that it's the consciousness of the cube.
Mm.
And that when the cube was in the possession of the skull held the cube and talked to the cube, and it he that's when you look at, because that calls back to the early part of the issue. He saw the cube as the ultimate tool of power, and so there was an endearment from his some Eastern philosophies call it chi, essentially.
Yeah.
She felt the cube felt the emotion of his spirit and the love that he had, because the cube was the attainment of power. So when the cube gained consciousness, I believe that it imprinted a father figure of the Red Skull and onto possibly what we would call a subconscious level as far as human awareness goes.
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how, I don't want to say cults, but, you know, how people play on subconscious ways to make you dependent on them
Yeah.
or look up to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Charles Manson did with his crazy followers.
Yeah. It could be done. It's probably done on a certain level to people every day.
Oh, every day.
People
Look
don't
at
understand how their
ad
subconscious
campaigns
works.
for almost anything plays on your emotions. The colors, the sights, the sounds, the smells when you walk into stores.
Yeah.
It all ties together into a nice little net of consumerism.
And so what ends up happening then? So
this girl has these adventures with the Red Skull,
and he starts changing some things, right?
and they start changing not things, but essentially the conscientious base of a being. You know, manipulating the personality of these people. You see, where there was a scientist that stumbled upon this girl and the Red Skull that she teleported into a SHIELD facility. And when this man saw the Red Skull, this girl used her power to change fundamentally his personality to where that the man is a servant of the Red Skull as opposed to an enemy of the Red Skull.
Didn't you also change
implanting memories of service in collusion with, it shows Crossbones, but also him wearing a Hydra uniform, in addition to, I hate to assume things because, you know, ass out of you and me, but, you know, possibly working with Hydra scientists, you know, with that being there, in the manner that it's displayed. Yes. You know, I mean, I hate to use such cryptic words for those not looking, you know, but it's in a position to where the comic has the view of a scientist and the doctor, the main scientist, talking to another person who is presumably a scientist in a lab coat, and then under that you see the SHIELD agent scientist. I shouldn't say SHIELD agent scientist. That's actually not accurate. I call myself out on that. He's actually someone that agreed to help SHIELD because a bunch of their scientists died.
Yeah.
Can't let bad fanboy. But you see what I'm saying? It's so much more malevolent than what people believe, and there was a tie-in to it's a continuation of the Avengers versus X-Men in a way, in the continuity that the Red Skull dug up the corpse of Charles Xavier and stole his brain and found a way to extract Charles Xavier's mutant telekinetic abilities.
Jesus.
Yeah. Shit got wild. Yeah. It was a good series.
That sounds pretty intense.
It shit got real. At one point, he was literally wearing Charles Xavier's brain on top of his head. Like some sort of morbid victory brain hat.
That's intense. That's
brain hats.
Great. You can tell comics aren't for children anymore.
No. It was quite disturbing.
I found the thing that I disturbing. Honestly, it wasn't disturbing. It was intriguing. I didn't read the whole comic, but when you showed it to me and I flipped through it a little bit, the idea that this cube took the form of a person, basically. So if you look at this story, and we've talked about at times what you call social mirroring,
Yeah.
And I've said that I could potentially see it as being something a little different than that, as being maybe even, what, social engineering potentially, or something like that. But let's see. Let's go with your mirroring side of things. So follow with me here for a second as I fully explain my thought here. So if you're using this, let's say with Captain America, if it's social mirroring, so say for instance the Shield Hydra thing.
Mm-hmm.
If that's sort of an allegory for World War II and Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, and getting Nazis over to NASA.
It's almost a direct reference.
Okay, so yeah, so when I see that allegory as a direct reference, what I then see.
Can I interject something here while we're talking about the history? Do you mind?
Sure.
Little known fact that some of the more zealot Nazis were also some of the people that tried to take over and kill Hitler. Kind of like Hydra. Hydra was a successful coup that took out Hitler.
Oh, okay. In the story, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
Because they undermined him and became their own thing. That's why they threw up both of their hands to salute Hydra, because they felt that the regular one-hand salute wasn't enough. You give everything to Hydra. You are at the mercy of your Hydra commander.
Got it. But
just thought like a little flavor on that context.
Yeah, no, that's good. I now have no idea where I was.
I'm sorry.
So now you have to forgive me for dead air as I try to remember where I was.
Let's see. We were talking about Hydra and the correlation of Paperclip.
Okay, so now with this story, there is a cube of knowledge that this all-knowing, all-powerful cube of knowledge that then takes the form of and essentially infiltrates the human being, the human species, and then can, through different ways, manipulate the thoughts and the reality of anything it wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And so what gets me about that is if comics are doing, if there is any social mirroring aspect, like, is that some sort of allegory for what even this comic itself could be doing to us? With sort of the idea that whatever you watch on TV or read
is supposed to program you a certain way.
Not even necessarily is maybe programming is
a bit of a harsh word, maybe.
Maybe not.
Influencing.
Yeah, influencing is the way I would go with it. Programming,
kind of like where I said about the subconscious and how, conveying the parental figure to look up to subconsciously.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Good old brain manipulation.
Yeah. So sorry, I forget again. You keep. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I was asking a question.
No, you're good. I
my bad, dude.
No, I can't. So yeah, and that is essentially something that you could see happening right now. That something that we're actually doing that could be happening to us in our reality. Is basically it's sort of suggestive. Is what we're watching on TV, is it sort of shifting what it is that we're thinking about? Like, for instance, with all of the pick a side action horror, wow, all the superhero movies that have come out that have been like pick a side.
Yeah, well, look at Neighbors too.
Is that part of an idea behind sort of trying to get us more separated? This divide and conquer idea, so far as like, as long as everybody is against somebody for some reason.
I think a perfect terminology for this would be a force, or not, an influenced force perspective.
Yeah, there you go. And that. So when I saw that in this comic book, it kind of blew my mind. Where I was like, man, that's a really
and kind of expecting
for what could be going on in our day-to-day reality. Like, is our reality being influenced by what we subject ourselves to? I think of it this way.
Or what we pay homage to with how the Red Skull.
Okay, think of it this way. Both of us have considered ourselves at one point or another to be rebels, or outsiders of some sort.
Rebels without a cause.
Is that not potentially just a reaction to what we have put ourselves in front of? Like, for instance, is it because...
Did you like Bart Simpson growing up?
Clash? No. Not that much. But I watched some wrestling and stuff like that. But for instance, like watching a bunch of old Western movies as a child growing up, and listening to punk rock as a teenager, and being a big fan of the Robin Hood movies as a child, and being a big fan of Batman.
Rooting for the underdog.
Did I not inadvertently raise myself to have a vigilante style mindset? Is that sort of
rooting for Batman?
If you don't, yeah.
Batman does illegal shit.
Yeah.
He's a criminal himself in a lot of ways.
Is there an element to us as humans that is basically just a reaction, sort of? Are we just an input-output system where it's like, okay, so what I've looked at, what I've subjected myself to over time, is sort of that knee-jerk. I mean, have you ever had a thought? Have you ever had some sort of...
Do we really mirror what we mentally consume?
Bad or... Yeah, exactly. Have you ever had some really bad or angry thought towards someone and then kind of shook in your head and been like, dude, that's not me? Like, what? I don't feel that way. Why did I just have that thought come in my head?
Right.
That has to come from somewhere.
I blame it on being Italian.
Well, see, that's the thing. We all find something to blame it on, but
like Flip Wilson?
I think there is a potential there that it could just be what you put in front of yourself. And so that's where I stay away from necessarily going like the brainwashing or programming, but like for instance, marketing does it all the time. Look at how many places market using that rebel aspect. Yeah, using that whole rogue thing.
Yeah.
So
it's a character class in video games, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
The rogue. And when you play, I don't know about you, but I've played my fair share of oh crap, I can't believe I forgot the term. Role-playing games.
Yeah.
To where, when I play through as a rogue, I steal everything that's not nailed to the fucking floor, dude.
Yeah. No kidding. But so, and that's just, that was a part of that comic that really just got with me. Because that's the kind of stuff that I've really gotten interested to. I've had, with the Twitter and the Facebook and all that stuff, we go through a lot of different news things. I still pay a lot of attention to sports and stuff like that, but I have really, and to movies, and I still entertain myself, still play the occasional video game, but lately I've been kind of sort of lost in this whole idea behind the fact that anything that I watch could be affecting who I am after I watch it, sort of thing.
Right.
And it started to where I've spent more of my free time just trying to investigate and do research on why my brain acts the way it does. I've been reading a book by Daniel Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow. It's about the two halves of the brain. And it really talks about, and it's difficult because you have to try your hardest not to try to trick your brain after this book teaches you kind of how it's working, about the reactionary side of you, your conscious thought. And for instance, we've talked about times before when you drive down the road for 20 miles and all of a sudden you kind of look up and shake your head and you don't remember anything you've done on the road.
Right.
And so you were sort of just in that reactionary.
It's just kind of like lost time in an aspect.
Yeah, because your brain had switched to that autopilot and had put itself in a position just to be reactionary, just to kind of read and react, do what's needed to be done, and you're not in that conscious level of thinking. So, the same sort of thing can happen when you're sitting there tuned into the television or listening to us right now or reading a comic book or reading a novel. You can just get sort of,
It activates that reptilian mind.
you just get sort of locked in, and different brain waves start working. I mean, there's a reason you can stare into a TV set and sort of have, I mean, for me, it happens all the time with reading.
You get tunnel vision?
You've tried to talk to me before when I'm working on this computer.
Right.
On something that we're doing, and sometimes it takes effort to almost physically break someone free.
Yeah. Because they get that tunnel vision, and they're just completely focused on that view source.
Yeah, and what can happen is you can be sort of subjective, because the way our brain works, when you read something on paper, or if it's presented to you in a certain way, you through no reason of your own, you react, you believe it off the bat almost.
Kind of like that propaganda commercial you showed me, where it had the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah,
in the light in front of the Pledge of Allegiance, if you slowed it down, it said things like obey.
Yeah, obey, consume, believe in government, God. God is watching. Rebellion will not be tolerated, and that's been one. And see, that's the thing, that the cover's been blown off, that MK Ultra and stuff has been disclosed, which makes you think, like, if that was disclosed, imagine. I'm not the one who thinks. I'm not of the mindset that thinks, okay, they disclosed MK Ultra, so they wouldn't do it again. They realized their mistake. What I think is,
no, they realized their mistakes and getting caught.
And yeah, they disclosed MK Ultra because that was the one that would stir up the least amount of trouble.
Exactly.
And then they just got better at it.
You get better at hiding your mistakes and erasing your mistakes and hiding your activities.
Mm-hmm.
Getting caught sometimes.
Yeah, it's the same thing when you see like the Project Northwood thing. I don't see how Kennedy stopping us from attacking our own citizens at one point 50 years ago means in any way that it would never get brought up again. To me,
right.
Once, and it's a little bit off topic, but it's recurring with that theme of, to me, once I've seen that it's in the realm of possibility,
it stays in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it stays there. There's no way I can think, okay, well,
it stays in that consciousness.
Because we somehow trap ourselves into thinking and believing that we're somehow socially better, or we're a smarter generation, or our people of today's age have things figured out, whereas the past didn't. But that's not the case. We simply just have a whole different set of problems that we've created for ourselves in the same way that past generations created their problems. And there's some
perceptions in general, how we see ourselves and how we see society,
and how much of that
we're a TV generation.
Controlled. Yeah, exactly. How much of
the MTV generation,
we perceive society and how we perceive ourselves, how much of that has been due directly to how we've, like you said, being raised by the television.
Look at how many kids go home.
Walt Disney. Maybe that's the reason everybody's so racist and angry at each other, is because they all grew up watching Disney movies.
No shit.
Have we ever talked in this podcast about how racist the Lion King is?
That I remember when I was a kid and I saw Dumbo, and I saw the crows, and I was just like, "What? That's what? This is." I kind of didn't want to watch the movie after that.
Lion King, all the hyenas are black or Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
And when Simba comes back and is king, did you notice that every single animal group is segregated?
No.
They're all lined up by animal. Like Noah's Ark, but it's not 2 by 2. It's just they're all
like
just
groups
in their
of
own
them.
herds.
Yeah.
The whole place is segregated. There's a lot. And then you've got Timon and Pumbaa. Yeah. So, look into it. I don't have it. It's been a while since I've done any. It's been a while since I've watched The Lion King, but you can find some very interesting videos right here on YouTube about just showing you evidence of The Lion King just being a racist remake of Hamlet.
Wow.
Right? Isn't it Hamlet? The father gets killed by his uncle.
The uncle marries the mother and exiles the son.
Yeah.
And the son comes back for bloody revenge. Yes.
Yeah. Boom. There it is.
Yeah. I always liked Othello as well.
yes, the Disney movies. How much is that? And you've seen all the, they've been a ton of other videos.
They've been
about
tuning it up lately.
the stuff that they put out with the sex, the porn picture,
Mm-hmm. The naked woman in the what was it?
In the window,
and
and sex being spelled out in the sky again in the Lion King.
Yeah,
Things that
the preacher with the erection during the marriage of the Little Mermaid.
Boner drawn on the box of that same movie.
And basically, the castle was a phallus. It's a big old penis-shaped castle.
And that's, it's just, and this picture that we have pulled up here just shows, like, this was an article that I found in the research, because, we're going to, as you know, Lou, we're going to come back tomorrow and talk again.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably I imagine we'll end up sticking along this line of discussion, because there's so much to be had here. And it covers so much ground that we could really still just talk about anything. But one of these articles I found here was the effect of color on marketing. And it's something,
like I said earlier, Vegas is one of the easiest 101s of how they use colors and lights to manipulate your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's Psychology 101, my friend. And that's why I like the fact that we're kind of kicking open the can of worms on that subject of how the brain works and how your brain perceives reality, and how you can show things to your brain to force like I said earlier, an influenced forced perspective, or a guided forced perspective, to not see what's right in front of your eyes. I'm sorry.
Right.
The sleight of hand that is the trickery of images and words and wordplay, and how certain words and combining them with, 80, what is it? Almost I think something like 2/3 of human speech is nonverbal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the saying, "A picture's worth 1,000 words." There's a reason behind that. There are symbols and images that affect us more greatly than words ever will. And I've told you this before, I believe, but one of the reasons that I initially switched majors and never ended up finishing out a marketing degree was because of some of the things that I was learning in that degree. You don't realize when you go in to get a business major and you show up your first day, your sophomore year.
Psychology 101.
And it's, Psychology 101, Introduction to Logic,
mm-hmm.
philosophy, all that stuff. And then
learning the different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
And,
learning the different reactions, and then, you basically, and then the other, there are other parts. You learn how to write copy, you learn how to write commercial scripts and put together a newspaper ad and all that stuff. But then this stuff, I didn't like the idea of manipulating people into
essentially hacking people's emotions.
Basically, tricking people, because the game has changed. And we watched this, you and I, we did some research on Edward Bernays together, and we watched this, and it used to be where a guy would a salesman back in the day would just try to walk to you and say, "Hey, this is why you need to buy this product."
Right, the door-to-door vacuum salesman.
Now the name of the game is I have to subliminally trick you into coming to me and saying, "I need to have what you're selling."
I show you these flashing pictures on the camera or the television, or I put, ads in printed literature, such as magazines.
And the sad thing is that people see it to an extent, and yet when you want to take it to the very next step, then that's when they will tell you that you're a crazy person. So
I dare you to not think of at least 5 jingles. Try to think of, you can't think. Everybody knows a fucking jingle from something.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll pop up in your head when you're at work or something like that. But that's what I was saying.
Sorry.
So everyone will agree to a certain to a certain point when they say like, oh yeah, sex sells, there are certainly people, they see these things, they see these patterns, they see that they're being manipulated. Like, oh, why is it always you've got an attractive woman drinking Diet Pepsi, stuff like that, and so they'll agree that they'll see these things like sex sells, and you'll have good-looking models and this and that. But if you try to then tell them that there's the possibility that other symbols are being put out there in front of them as well, then all of a sudden you're a crazy person. And
kind of like my new issue of GQ.
Yeah, exactly. You've got is this Kardashian?
Naked Kim Kardashian holding what looks to be like a leather trench coat, mayed.
To me, it just looks like she's covered herself in a trash bag. But
I'm not sure.
Kim, as you've never seen her, it says, yeah, right. That's about the only way I've ever seen her.
I was about to say, well, when I saw that, I thought, do you mean in clothing?
Yeah. So she's going to be fully dressed in these pictures.
You look at how, sorry to use such a visual for a podcast, but when you look at the cover of a magazine and you see, a sexualized woman in the center where the words follow the curvature of her body. Look at that, Kevin. Tell me that those words and titles don't cling to her like a martini dress.
Yeah, that's exactly. And that's the point that they're trying to do. It's everything is drawn. It's drawing the eye in that way
to the sex of the issue.
And I'm trying to get, that is not, and there we have it. So
that's awesome.
I've got it right here for you.
You're a good man, Kevin.
Up here. I do what I can out here. So there's so that people have the reference to what it is that you're talking about. But again, and that's just to sell this magazine off of the newsstand. And then you can flip.
You can literally flip to GQ and find everything we've talked about.
And look, there's a crown. You see, there's you got the nice Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these ads in here. They're all
the circle in the halo shape.
Yeah, and you can see that there are symbols. There's probably going to be some kind of symbolism. Like, look, there's this guy right here again. Sorry,
surrounded
guys.
By predators.
There's a guy. We got a what is that? A vodka? What is that?
No. You were actually quite off, my friend.
Well, I'm looking at it upside down.
Fair enough, but no, it's actually the fixture pouring the water, Kohler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with wolves?
Transform your layer with the classic sophistication of the artifacts, gentleman's bar faucet.
Okay, so they're selling faucets with a guy basically surrounded by wolves. So, again...
And people wonder why I like
Panther
Playboy a little bit more when they had the nudity.
Well, yeah.
it was GQ with boobies.
Yeah. But just all jokes aside, so you don't miss the point of what I was trying to say. They're selling you a faucet by trying to play to your rebel mentality of this guy is a wolf surrounded by a pack of wolves.
Exactly.
That speaks to people, and they understand at this point what speaks to people. But
unfortunately, if you saw this picture, you can't see this picture to the podcast person. But it's like he's the alpha because he controls the water source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, but what I was saying is, not only is it not possible that we're being marketed this certain way. Is it? They do their research. Yes, they know exactly what we are going to react to. But what I was suggesting is that it's possible that people know what we're going to react to because we've been played. I mean, when did this whole? We would have to start out with the research. When did this whole narrative get as popular as it did? With the Wild Wild West films, and you've got pirates being popular and stuff. You know what I mean? Like this stuff has been rebels in general have been idolized for as long as I can remember. My entire life that I know, I have only basically known the anti-hero.
Othello. He was a man who had to redeem his honor, essentially.
Yeah, but so
Robin Hood. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Batman.
It goes back a lot farther than we do.
Oh,
but at the same
certainly.
time, we've gotten everything's become so mainstreamed and efficient and easy to do that it's been able to be produced more rapidly. But I'm just thinking, I think it's potential that there is potential there that we're basically we're getting input information and then putting out a reaction, and then the same people that are marketing to us are behind. The media is controlled. 90% is controlled by 6 companies.
Yeah.
30 years ago, that same 90% was controlled by over 100 companies.
Yeah.
Things have really mellowed out.
Changed.
So you got to understand that basically you're getting fed information on one end, so that way later you will react to a marketing ad the proper way. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Is we think we're being entertained, we think we're our brains are being tested, but really you're just receiving information for later. So when the time comes, you'll buy something.
Right.
And I tell you about the time I bought an Apple Watch and then returned it 2 days later.
Yeah.
Because I just had a gift card, the $200 gift card at Best Buy, and I had to wait about an hour for my phone to get made. And I just was walking around and I had no intention of. I wanted to buy a better microphone for these endeavors.
Right.
And they didn't really have anything there that I saw that I could use, so I started walking around. Well, I walk out of that Best Buy, having spent the entire $200 gift card and $140 of my own dollars on an Apple Watch. Well, at the time, I worked at a pizza shop. I couldn't even wear the thing. I was working 5 days a week.
Right.
At a pizza shop. You're not going to wear an Apple Watch making pizzas where you
fucking with dough.
Yeah, fucking with dough.
Kneading dough and throwing sauce everywhere.
Pizza sauce. And it was, when I got to the parking lot, as soon as I walked out of Best Buy, I had just like an anxiety attack because what did I just do? I don't
Buyer's
need
remorse,
this.
my friend.
Why did I just buy this? I have no need for it.
Bad reptilian brain. Stop liking shiny things.
But I think anyone could go back at some point in time and think of a situation in which they've done that.
Yeah. Completely.
I didn't have the money to do that. Why'd I do that? And it's almost like some people do it. It's a stress thing. Like for instance, I am one of those people that's guilty of eating a little bit more than he normally would when he's stressed out. But there are people that go out and buy themselves things,
but it's a guilty pleasure, and you look at our society. That is so much tied to instant gratification. The ability to just consume. Spend money, you get rewarded with shiny trinkets.
Work, buy, consume, die.
Yeah. And it's that, ooh, I want it, in the reward of, I got it. My precious. Then that's kind of what it boils down to. That's how it works. That's how the game is played, mon frere. They show us the sparkle,
it's been
and they make us walk to the poop for it.
It's been a very interesting last year or so, ever since started to learn to look for these things. Though it's become
definitely
it's weird, man. It's not necessarily a happy feeling.
No.
It feels
in the most manipulated society in history, I think.
Yeah. It feels good to know that you might at least be starting to figure some things out, but the more stuff you figure out, it's all sad.
I was just thinking, I know that this steak is just numbers and binary code, but it just tastes so damn good. The Matrix.
I know your Matrix quote.
Well, I had to give it to the people who might not have seen.
For that one person out there who has not seen The Matrix, I'm fucking with you, man.
You act like people haven't seen a lot of quote unquote staples that we view. That like, oh my god, you didn't see.
Why didn't you give a spoiler alert, man? I'm just
air quotes.
Quoting
the air
Matrix,
quotes
but
were supposed to be our little secret, Kevin. You got me blabbing our air quotes business.
But
dirty little. I forgive you.
Good. So back to the lecture at hand. No, but so
Shady.
we had.
Oh,
Oh man, now I forgot what I was going to
Sorry.
say. No, that's okay.
I shouldn't help myself.
I know. I know you can't help yourself. It's not like this is a team sport or anything, Lou.
No.
It's just you were just gonna rename this the Lou Show with special guest stuttering Kevin as he tries to get his points across in vain.
I'm sorry I handed it you, Combs.
As he tries in vain.
I'm sorry I
think
handed
it's
you, Combs.
steamrolled by the next Alex Jones. Who's just not ever gonna let anybody else talk.
Clyde does it too a little bit.
Clyde does it, yeah. Well, that's why you like Clyde a whole hell of a lot more than I do. He kind of drives me nuts. It's like, why do you even take phone calls if you're not going to let anybody talk? What's the point? And then he gets so childish when he disagrees with someone. He'll do the whole, oh yeah, Bill from Arizona, is that what I sound like, dude? It's like, dude, man, you're in your 50s, dude. Are you kidding me right now? You're talking about like an enlightened state, like a higher level of consciousness, and then when someone makes you mad, you turn into a fucking 6-year-old. And this is the problem that I have with most of the truth movement is they're just as hypocritical as the rest of us.
Right.
Everybody's a hypocrite.
Kind of like how everybody on the right's like, well, if we make abortions illegal, it just won't happen. And everybody on the left's like, well, if we just make guns illegal, guns won't happen.
Just like when we made alcohol illegal and alcohol didn't happen.
Right. Oh, there's a great picture.
Or how all these drugs are illegal and they don't happen.
Yeah, you know the picture where it's Batman slapping the taste out of Robin's mouth because like Robin says some ignorant shit.
Yeah, it's the best meme.
It says it's Robin spouting off guns should like you shouldn't be able to buy guns at certain stores, and Batman, you know, in the next cell slaps the taste out of Robin's mouth, and his word bubble is, "Do you buy meth at a store?"
Right.
And no, you don't. Maybe in Amsterdam. I don't know what kind of things they have to say. I'm sorry, it was all one cell. Thank you for being on point with the visual aids.
Hey, I'm trying to get our game stepped up here a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but unfortunately we can't keep an audience, but we've had several people actually listening in live tonight.
No.
There have been 2 different occasions that we've had.
Thank you for listening to us be
viewer. So
crazy.
So thank you guys for checking in with us. It's good to see that it's not all robots following our Twitter and Facebook pages, so that's good.
Right.
We have it's Twitter game is weird, man. There's a lot of robots out there.
Well, and so many of them are just people trolling for porn sites to like, I'm a hot girl, and I'm gonna follow you because I want you to look at this campsite.
Yeah.
Follow this link to this campsite. There's probably still like a quarter of that in our followers group, but it's positively, on a positive note, it's shrinking.
Yes.
And we're getting a lot more legitimate people following us, and it's fucking awesome.
And if you're listening to this at some point, please follow us. We don't do that enough. We never talk.
We got to start sending out the thank yous.
We're at Bad Dinner Guests on Twitter, at Bad Dinner Guests on Facebook. You can, of course, you're listening to this right now on YouTube, but you can go on our SoundCloud. We're getting Spreaker and Podbean set up, and we are waiting to get approved by iTunes. You'll be able to just download us right there on iTunes and check us out there soon. So yeah, everything, Instagram, whatever it is, it's just Bad Dinner Guests. You can check us out there. We post some short fiction here and there, write some articles, do some videos. We're currently we're in pre-production on a comedy web series that we've been working on. So, we try to do a little bit of everything out here, and we want other people to pitch in as well. It's not just about us. We, if you have an article you want to post, feel free to email us, baddinnerguests@gmail.com. Lou, can you not?
I'm
what
sorry.
What are you doing, man? Like,
speaking of our Twitter, I'm retweeting this dude going Bob the Deconstructor on a door. Sorry.
I know, but it's just like, dude, we're trying to record a pod. You're over here acting like a mime, like a little kid can't contain himself.
I'm sorry.
Help me out.
I was doing I'm seeing some crazy stuff.
I feel like it's your mission every episode to make me look as stupid as possible when we record.
I'm sorry.
Just cutting me off, dancing around while I talk, so I always lose my focus, and then I just sound like like just a bubbling dumbass. If you want me out of here, just tell me, man. You can just do your own thing. It's fine. But
I'm sorry I handed you crumbs.
Yeah, man. Well, at least we've titled this thing properly. But I don't know. I feel like
which you came up with so brilliantly.
Yeah, I'm done saying for the evening. So we should probably go ahead and I'm thinking we can probably wrap this one up.
I feel it.
Get ready for going.
Every time I do that
tomorrow.
Every time I do that, I replay that scene. My bad.
We got a microphone.
I forgot. Every time I hear that, I think to Parks and fucking Rec. When, oh man, I'm surprised you don't remember this. Of course I can't remember the girl's name. As soon as I chastise you for not remembering this, Leslie Knope.
Yeah.
She's talking to Adam Scott. I don't remember Adam Scott's character, but she's telling Adam Scott, "Don't say when you meet my mom." She says, is the middle sounded dumb.
Yeah, is it sounding dumb?
Yeah.
And yes, it absolutely is. And that's why whenever I start doing it, and that's when we go this late, which is why I keep trying to get us to podcast earlier and earlier in the day, which I think is what needs to start happening. I think we need to just post one early in the afternoon, and if we get to a second one, we get to it. But it's 1:30 in the morning now, and I'm falling asleep, and I keep saying and all that good stuff. So I think it's best that we sort of just put the pause button on this one. We're going to talk about something similar to this tomorrow, and who knows what we'll decide.
That too. A lot of tonight was SoundCloud learning and figuring out how to use that medium to our advantage. And
we've been trying to get our old podcast archive all loaded up onto the new channel, so that way we have more content for you guys to look through, and then we can get it all put up on iTunes and all that stuff, and sort of just make it easier for people to find us and listen to us. But oh shoot, I forgot what I was just about to say.
I didn't do it that time. I'm Dancing Celebration.
Oh yeah, I did that one all on my own. I was gonna say, that's what I was getting to. Well, it was to you folks, the listeners. If you've made it this far, we appreciate you, and we'll be tweeting and Facebook posting about this. But if you have something that you want us to talk about, a conspiracy that you want us to debate, maybe we'll be on opposite sides of it. If there's a news story you want covered, even if it's just sports, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan and you want to know my opinion on them offering Matthew Dellavedova millions of dollars, I will gladly talk about that for you, the listener, because we're here to entertain and educate, or just do whatever. Just be helpful.
Yeah. Or just be a couple of guys spitting our minds out.
Anyway, guys, thanks again for joining us tonight. We're going to head out of here. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Say hi to our moms.
Hi, Mom.
Sleep well. Happy Independence Day.
And don't let the dead things bite.
Nighty night. Keep your butthole tight.
Nah.